Welcome to Ponytails and Pep Talks, the podcast where blowouts, breakdowns, and breakthroughs are a weekly discussion. I'm your host, ReJeania. For over 3 decades, I've been behind the salon chair as a stylist, an owner, and yes, your favorite unlicensed therapist. I have heard it all. The tears, the triumphs, the you won't believe what just happened stories from courageous women overcoming incredible obstacles. So let's meet one of them right now on Ponytails and Pep Talks. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this episode of Ponytails and Pep Talks. Today, we're going to talk to someone that makes me more beautiful. The beauty industry, especially skincare, can be absolutely overwhelming sometimes. Products are being pushed at you from every angle, every direction. Buy this, buy that. But you know what social media products don't come with? Your very own personal consultant. Someone who guides you through the best products for you and consistently reaches out to you to answer questions and keep you up to date on any new product or make sure you don't run out of your favorite items. My guest today is part of a beauty industry icon, Mary Kay Cosmetics. Her story is one of those do it scared moments that turned into years of joy, fulfillment, and success. So let's hear her story. Tell the listeners who you are and a little bit about you, and then we'll get into your journey.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kathy Bullard. And if you want amazing hair, you want to talk to my friend ReJeania. She is my hairstylist, my friend, and she is awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me on tonight. So I actually am not originally from Texas. I'm from Minnesota. Isn't that crazy? And so I left Minnesota when I was 23. I'm the youngest of 7 kids. Yeah. My oldest brother is like 19 years older than me. Yeah. Crazy. Yeah. And my family, we had a lot of love. We just didn't have a lot of money. And I wanted to do something different. So I went to college and I got my degree and I got a lot of financial aid and debt along with that.
Of course. Yes.
Of course. And I got into banking, which was boring. And then I decided to move to Texas because a girlfriend lived there. And voila, I moved to Texas, became a medical rep, and then got started in my own business.
Wow, moved here for a friend. That's pretty interesting. You know, that's a long ways to move for a friend. So it must have been a great friend. Tell us about your life before Mary Kay, when you had the 9-to-5 job.
Okay. Well, actually, my job was never 9 to 5. I was a medical equipment sales rep. So with all the reporting and calling on doctors and going to grand rounds, it was usually sometimes a 7 to 8 job or an 8 to 8 job. It was crazy busy. It wasn't as positive as I would have liked. It was kind of dog eat dog, and they weren't real supportive. And I remember when I was new in the medical field and they said, okay, so how many of your customers do you think you can get to refer business to us? And I'm a very optimistic, positive person. And I said 80%, and they laughed because I guess the correct answer was 20.
Oh, okay. They're like, she's new. She doesn't know anything. It's all good. So what made you think about leaving the security of a regular paycheck?
Well, part of it was somebody had told me a little bit about Mary Kay, and I decided to try it part-time. And I was having so much fun in it, and it was positive, it was fun. And I started to get to the point with my part-time side hustle, I was making almost exactly what I was making with my full-time job. And I'm like, well, why would I keep doing both? I mean, I don't want to work that hard forever. And a couple things that really piqued it was a guy that I worked with, his wife was pregnant with their first child, and he got laid off. And he was their only source of income. And I was like, I don't ever want that to happen to me. Yeah. And then the biggest turning point was my brother that's probably, 10, 12 years older than me. He had a stroke in Minnesota. And so, of course, I wanted to go home and be there with him, make sure everything was okay. And I told my medical job I needed to go. And they said, well, you can go, but you don't have any vacation time, so we're going to dock your pay. And I'm like, that's sweet.
Yeah. This is family emergency.
I know. And I told I went to my Mary Kay meeting and I told my director, I said, I'm going to be gone because my, brother had a stroke. And she's like, well, go make a copy of this paper. And I'm like, well, that's kind of weird because we were meeting at a training center. And when I came back, they gave me an envelope that was enough to pay for my airline ticket.
Wow.
Choice was made.
Right. So there wasn't too much doubt then. There wasn't too much of like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this. Now,
Mm.
what about, do you have family and friends? Sometimes people project their own fears, onto you. So did you have the people that said, oh, Kathy, I don't know. I mean, what if you don't make it? What was that like for you?
Oh, yes. I had those family and friends that were worried. One of my sisters, she'll name anonymous, I only have two. But she was like, "Why would you quit your medical job when, and do Mary Kay?" And I love her, but I didn't listen to her, and I'm glad that I didn't, because I was the one paying my bills. She wasn't
That's
paying my
right.
bills. Yeah.
That's
And
right.
I learned early on, there's an analogy of crabs in a bucket. And if you have a whole bucket full of crabs and one crab tries getting out because they see something better, the whole purpose of the other crab
Yes.
pull them back in because they're all secure in that bucket together. And I didn't want to stay in that bucket. I wanted something different.
I agree. And that's something I've had to do in my life too. Even when I'd go and open up a new salon or, move it somewhere, they're like, are you sure? I mean, if you just stay right here, but, as they say, no one becomes successful being boring. If you don't break out of the mold, if you're going to be like everybody else, then you're going to be like everybody else. The only way to be different is to be different, to
Mhm.
have your own goals, your own, because you know you better than anybody else.
Yes.
So, all right. So, for those who don't know, what does earning the pink car actually represent in Mary Kay?
So earning the pink Cadillac, it represents a level of success. And it's not just my success, it's my team. I have an awesome team of ladies, and only the top, I think, 1.5% of consultants that join move up to become directors. And of that
Yes.
1.5%, 10% of them earn the pink Cadillac. So it
Wow.
represents a higher level. I think your team needs to do about 400,000 a year retail to achieve Cadillac. My team does more
Wow.
than that, but it is a level of success, definitely.
How many years did it take you to get to that point? How long had you been in it before you got your pink or your first pink car?
Okay, well, I'm a little bit of a go-getter.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Me
yeah. So
too.
yep, you do. So I did this part-time, and within, 11 months, I had, earned a Grand Am, which is the first car, became a director, and then 4 months later, we were in a pink Cadillac. So I've been driving a pink Cadillac since I was
Wow.
8 years old, and I'm not 20.
Girl. No, none of us are like that, anymore. Was there one particular? Well, so tell us how many cars at this point you've earned.
Okay. So I was trying to add that up. I think we've earned 14 or 15 pink Cadillacs, and we had the Grand Am, and then we'd earned a Jimmy somewhere in between there too. And this year, the thing with Mary Kay that's so cool is you can either take the car
Hmm.
or the cash. And so this year, Cadillac decided to offer us an electric car. Nothing wrong with that. I just don't choose to
Yeah.
drive one. And so I'm taking the cash for the first time in, like, ever, and I bought a
Wow.
beautiful Bronco, and I had it wrapped pink. Isn't that fun?
Oh,
And
there you
yeah,
go.
yep, the
Same
money that
same type
American
of thing.
yep, and the money American pays me covers the car
Sticky.
note and the insurance.
Wow, that's fabulous. So, was there one particular vehicle that meant more to you? Was more emotional that you didn't want
Mhm.
to really give up when you got the new one? So,
Um, well, it wasn't that I didn't wanna give up because they're pretty much the same. Sometimes there's 3rd row seating and, 2-row seating or whatever. But I
yeah.
guess that was more emotional is when I married my husband, and
Hmm.
he and my, son Trevor, who was probably 4 or 5 at the time, maybe 5, came to pick up the pink Cadillac, and Trevor was bebopping, sticking his head out the sunroof and all that, and Steve said, I am so proud of you." And it's like when your
Oh,
tells you that, it's like, "Whoo," and that year was also
yeah.
first year that, our team earned the top director trip. We did over 650,000, and I took my husband on an all expense paid trip to Scotland. So, thank you, Mary
Ooh. Absolutely.
Kay.
I'm sure he's very proud to say, "Oh yes, my wife sells Mary Kay, and she's great at it." So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
So,
it's pretty fun.
so a lot of success, in a business like this, comes from building up others. Like you said, you have to build up a team. Talk to women, build them up, keep them motivated. What is your take on leadership? What's important to you in the leadership that you do?
So, the leadership style that I do is I'm not gonna expect people to do stuff that I haven't done myself. because
Hmm.
to me, you can't lead where you haven't been. And so
Absolutely.
I started as a consultant. I held parties. I've been through getting no's. I've built up my team. And so I know when my team is doing that, how I can help them overcome objections and fears and things that they may have in their place. And I love helping women believe in themselves and move up to the
Yeah.
level that God intended them to be at. I think that is awesome. And to see my people, my consultants and my offspring directors soar and achieve great things, that gives me joy. I love that. It's awesome. Mhm.
That is something for me also. I love after, again, doing hair 34 years now. And I do, I love to teach the other young ones coming in that, don't know how to quite do it all or, and they look to me and like their scared little eyes, like, what do I do? I don't know how to do this haircut or I don't know, this. So we go in the back room and they're like, how do you mix this color? What do you think, this will do? But I enjoy teaching. I've done a lot of stage work and stuff myself over time. And it is the joy of teaching others and watching them succeed is a pride you feel inside, just like a mom, you feel like their mom. So
You do.
what
You
is,
do.
you
It's crazy.
do.
It's like another part of your family.
It really is. So, what is just even one story of a woman that you helped that maybe more emotional, that you got something more out of it that meant a lot to you?
You're gonna get me emotional, girl.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
try not to be. Oh my gosh. Okay. So the story that comes to mind is my mother-in-law. So, my husband was married previously, and his
Hmm.
first wife died complications of lupus. And
Oh,
Trevor, our older son that I adopted, had to be
yeah.
born 3 months premature. And so,
Oh,
her mom, had dealt with Renee dying, and then I don't know, 4 or 5 years later, her son died, and so she lost both her children.
oh.
And so I shared Mary Kay with her because she needed a positive focus and she
Hmm.
ran with it. She loved the positiveness. She didn't need the money for it that she made with
Yeah.
it, but she did Queen's Court of Sales 9 times, earned, different diamond and other stone rings. We became best friends.
Wow.
We just had so much fun together. And then the company had a promotion that you could nominate somebody that really is an inspiration to you. Hang on, grab my
Yeah.
water. And so I nominated my mother-in-law and she
Oh.
won. And so,
Oh.
yeah, it was really cool. The company
That's
treated us. I'll show you a picture.
beautiful.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this, if you can see, this is me and my
Yeah.
mother-in-law. And
Oh.
so they treated us to makeup, hair. They bought us those dresses. We were on stage. These performers sang to us. It was just amazing, like a once in a
Mm.
lifetime thing. And I got to share that with somebody I really care about, which is my mother-in-law. And she isn't my mother-in-law by blood. She's my mother-in-law
Yeah.
because I choose.
Right.
Yeah.
I know, which is a beautiful, beautiful story. And I'm sure that she appreciated you accepting her, so much into your life, and also.
Yeah.
So Kathy, you've been doing this business for a long time.
Oh,
And
yeah.
though it is super rewarding and, and of course, many ways, but were there times that you thought you would quit? Were there times you just went, oh my gosh, this is a little too overwhelming for me?
Well, I've been in the business for 30 years and I've
Yeah.
never thought of quitting. That's really never crossed my mind. I've just learned because I go to a lot of the trainings and I'm in, try to have positive role models. I just learned that anytime you have a setback, it's a setup for a comeback, and
Yeah.
it's a learning lesson. So I've had several of them. The year my team we were going for a really big goal. We were trying to finish up the million
Hmm.
in a year, which was our first time ever. We ran out of time and we did 977,000. And I told my son, when we hit million, you get a $5,000 bonus. So I was going to take the family to Disney. So when he woke up
Yeah.
the next day and he's like, Mom, did we do it? And I'm like,
Oh
no,
no.
we didn't. And we didn't go to Disney because I had to be a woman of my word. We went to Disney a different time. But,
Yes.
that was, a moment where you're like, okay, I learned what I needed to do. And
Yeah.
yeah. And even, we've earned a lot of trips with Mary Kay. I think we've earned 19, but we've missed 5. So it's those years
Hmm.
that you grow and you're like, okay, what do I need to do different to achieve the goal again? So it's just a learning curve.
I guess so. And what? So what is the price behind all of that for that levels of success?
Mhm.
The one, that a lot of people don't see. The one, your son was a little disappointed. He didn't get to go there, but
Mhm.
you're gone a lot too on these trips and different things. So what toll did that take on your family during some of this time?
Right. Well, the trips, the kids actually love that because they go to Camp Mumsy. So they stay with my mother-in-law and she spoils them.
Yeah, of
And
course.
that trip
Yeah.
is, just for like a week in September. And then in the summer, when we were finishing up our goals in June, they would go to Camp Mumsy for the month of June and they loved it and she loved it. So it helped develop the relationship with them and their grandparents. Um, but I mean the toll, I guess people that join something, a business, and they're working towards it, if they think they're going to join a business like this and that just by doing nothing, a car is going to show up in the driveway, that's not
Hmm.
reality. So it
Right.
does take work. Like when I first joined and I had my full time medical job and I did this part time, it did take work to build up my business. And then once I got to, director in the goal that I was going for, I quit my other job. So I had more time to work my business. So it freed up a lot of time, but it does take
Yeah.
work to maintain it. And you're going to get no's. Everybody does, but it's just learning how to say next and not take everything personal, which I had to learn that.
Absolutely. I actually watched a little thing on TikTok the other day, and this woman was trying to put on this pair of jeans. And she was showing how she's like, look, I can't get it buttoned. I can't fit over here. It doesn't fit right here. It doesn't go right here. And she said, instead of getting, upset about that, just
Mhm.
go grab another pair of pants that do fit. And then you will look nice. It's not that there was something wrong with you. Because I know for me, I can be in the room trying something on and it's not fitting. And I'm like, "Ah, if you would just lose 10 pounds, or if you would, I start jumping on myself and not being very kind to myself sometimes. So she really helped me see, like, no, you know what? There's something wrong with those pants. They don't fit you. And so
Right.
you go find another pair of pants that fit you. And then you put them on and you feel beautiful and, you get up and go again. So it does have to be, a right fit for you. Because, Mary Kay is so personal, and that is something I love. I think I was 12 maybe the first time that my stepmom had heard about Mary Kay, and she wanted me to invite some of my little friends over. And as 12-year-olds, you're starting to mature a little bit. And so I remember sitting around the table with our little pink mirrors and our little things, on there. And it was a great time. It really was. And that actually did start my journey on taking care of my face and myself, and things like that, because I loved the way that felt. But I am sure that there are women that you've sat down with that just didn't feel so great about themselves. And tell us the story of maybe a woman that sat down in front of the mirror, you cleaned her face, put makeup on, and she finally felt beautiful.
And that has actually happened quite a few times.
Hmm.
One story in particular is a neighbor down the street. She had posted that she needed help with her makeup. She hadn't worn makeup in years. Her and her husband are going on a date. And I said, well, come over. I'll
Oh,
do your makeup for free and show you. And so she came over and we had fun and tried different looks and got one that matched her. And she felt so good about herself. And when she got home, her husband looked at her and he said, wow, you look
oh,
awesome. And we didn't do like heavy makeup. It was, just brought
right.
out her features. And he said, I really hope you bought everything. And I was like,
Oh,
wow. And they had a great date. And here's the other part that's great is her daughter, who's an adult. She said, you really need to talk to my daughter about being in Mary Kay. She's a teacher and could use extra income. And her daughter joined my team. So it
oh,
was
wow.
like,
There
yep.
you
So
go.
yeah. And then I've done makeovers at nursing homes for free just to make
Oh,
them feel good. And it's interesting when you have a lady there that hasn't taken care of herself in a long time and you do a
yeah.
makeover with her and she feels good. And when you came in, she said, late, honey, it's too late. There's no help for me. And then she can't put the
Oh,
mirror down. It just feels good.
yeah.
Yeah.
It does. And that, that's the one thing about this job, about your job, about my job. It's way more than a job. It's more than a pink car for you. It's the way you touch and inspire women's lives every day. And what about that warms your heart the most at the end of the day?
Um, I guess what warms my heart the most is just getting women to believe in themselves because, there's a lot of
Mhm.
negativity out there. There's a lot of women that, dog other women, say you can't do it. I get snickers of people when I'm driving my pink car and I'm like, that's fine. You don't get it. But it warms my heart when you can help a woman believe in themselves and dream again and achieve those
Mhm.
dreams. Like when I've seen my offspring directors or my consultants go across stage at seminar and pick up a diamond ring or a pink Cadillac, and the pride that they feel is the pride I feel like you said earlier as a mom that they did
Exactly.
it, but I encouraged them.
That's
Yeah.
right. You got to be a part of their journey of
Mhm.
success. And
Yeah.
which is definitely, beautiful. Well, Mary Kay Cosmetics, of course, has been around for a very long time. How many years, actually?
63.
Wow. What I love, though, about the company is that it is always staying up with the times. They didn't let themselves fall behind, become an old product, or, go out. I mean, to this day, I guarantee you there's not anybody alive, I don't think, that doesn't know what company a pink car belongs to. I mean, truly.
Exactly.
I mean, guys, even, it doesn't matter who it is.
Mhm.
So it's a long legend. It's a long, icon, like I had said earlier. They're always trying to make it easier for women to make money. When the internet came out, you could start ordering things online and, putting things through that. Tell me about this new ambassador program that Mary Kay's doing to make it even easier for women to
Yeah.
make money.
Okay, cool. So I'm excited because, like you said, they're always coming up with new products. Our scientists are cutting edge. And I don't know if you knew, we're the number one direct selling brand of skincare and cosmetics in the world for the last 3 years in a row. So that helps
Wow,
too. But we
definitely.
have a new program that I like to call the brand ambassador program. So somebody, if they just wanted to make extra income and be kind of like a
Hmm.
brand ambassador, they could join Mary Kay as an ambassador for like $35, and they would get their little code where people could shop on their website, and they would make 30%. So there's no requirements. You can do as much or as little as you want. And so they could join, they could have that little code, and they could post it wherever. Somebody shops on their website. Mary Kay ships the product, charges the card. You don't even touch the product, and then they take the profit and put it into your checking account. That's pretty
Yeah.
easy.
How easy could that be? Right. I love that.
Yeah.
No inventory. No,
Nope.
not, just a page and with a logo on it. And then tell your friends, when you
Yeah.
want some makeup, order it right directly from me. I think you had some numbers about how much money a year is spent on makeup. And
Yeah.
tell me about those numbers.
Okay. So the average woman spends $3,000 to $3,700 a year on skincare, cosmetics, fragrance, body lotion. So, I mean,
Hmm.
if you were doing something like this, you could make great extra, and you can make 30%. And I
Right.
know there's other companies, like you can be a influencer or a brand ambassador for like Walmart or Amazon, and most of those brand ambassadors make anywhere from 1 to 10%, and if you're really
Mm.
good you make 10 to 20%. But with ours, you can start out with 30% and no requirements except share a link. I mean, it's pretty easy.
It is. You can't get much easier than that, and it seems like everything is on the internet nowadays. Anyway,
Yeah.
now do they get a become personal with the people that are ordering from them? How does that fit into the personalness of Mary Kay?
Well, the brand ambassador, there may be people that they don't know that order from them. I would
Hmm.
always reach out, to try and get to know them. But that's one thing that I love about Mary Kay is I got to know you real well because you got my hair, but also because you get Mary Kay. And, a lot of my Mary Kay customers and team members become friends, and they become
Right.
like an extension of your family. So I think the personal aspect and knowing when they might need stuff and having stuff ready for them, I think that is a huge factor
It
in
is. I really enjoyed I really enjoyed the Zoom call that I did when those other products, had come out.
Mhm.
Some of the ladies were not from this area. So I enjoyed the fact that you could go online, do a little session, and people
Mhm.
are wherever they live. But we all got to kind of chit chat with each other and use the
Mhm.
product and, learn something new. So I think that's a really cool thing, because people worry about, I don't have time for a party in my house. I don't have time to clean my house.
Right.
I don't have time. He said, you know what? You don't have to. We can do this online with a Zoom call, and they can be, well, Aunt so and so lives in Kentucky. Okay.
Yeah.
Join her in on a Zoom call.
Yep.
So, that was a lot of fun. I feel we've barely touched on the surface of the many, many ways that Mary Kay has changed people's lives. So I so appreciate you coming on here and sharing this. And I think at some point we're probably going to have to, do some more, share some more, because there's, a lot more to touch on. So thank you very much. If the listeners want to know more about how to start this rewarding career, how could they contact you?
Well, I created this. So if they can scan the
Ah.
QR code, it gives you all my contact information. If the QR code doesn't work, you can always call or text me at 281-701-8499.
Well, thank you. So, listeners, I hope you received some inspiration and insight today, maybe some encouragement to step out of your comfort zone and try something new. Until next week, stay strong, stay beautiful, and know that you are loved.